The Season 3 update has just dropped, and in this video we're going to be ranking every single hero from best to worst, including the new Phoenix hero and also including any buffs and nerfs. We've had early access for over a week now, so we've got a decent understanding of where the heroes sit, but do keep in mind this is still an early list and the meta can change going forward. Let's get straight into it. Kicking things off as we usually do, we're starting off with the Vanguards and they're up first. And first up, we've got Captain America. Now, when it comes to Captain America, in Season 2, he wasn't really used all that often. Now, you can get really good value from him. He's still a good menace in the enemy team backline, and that is just due to his movement and his shield kind of combined together. Being difficult to kill is his main job. Now, the good thing about Captain America right now is that he does have a lot of ranged attacks, and I think that's going to be really useful for Season 3. I think Season 3 is all about versatility in your heroes and making sure they can do more than one thing. And I think that you'll see when you actually get your hands on Season 3, because right now any of the heroes that can only do one thing are kind of struggling a little bit. So when it comes to Captain America, I actually think he's in a pretty decent spot. Is he absolutely meta? Definitely not. Can you get good value from him? Absolutely, and that is why I'm going to put him in B tier for now. Now, I don't really see this changing too much going on throughout Season 3 until we maybe hit a Season 3.5 update. Maybe they buff this hero in any way. But for right now, I think Captain America's in a really good spot where he's really valuable, and also if you main him and you can get tons of value from him, then he's obviously a really good pick too. Next up, we've got Thor. Now, for all of Season 2, I think Thor was an extremely solid pick, even though he got some slight changes, and the quality of life changes we've got for Thor now are actually really good. And even though they changed his playstyle slightly, he is very, very versatile. I do want to mention that he could be a brawl tank, he could be a poke tank, and even in some cases he does have pretty decent survivability if you know how to use him relatively well and cycling his abilities. So for that reason, I actually think Thor is in A tier. I don't think he's a meta tank by any means, but for the most part, he's pretty decent, and he's actually not too bad against flying heroes. Now, flyers are not the meta, but we'll get on into that later on when we go through the flying heroes. But we will see a lot of them still because of obviously the additions of new heroes, which we'll get on into. Next up, we've got Hulk. Now, Hulk, in my opinion, is in a weird spot. You always can get really good value from Hulk, doesn't matter what the meta is, because of just the way he plays, and if you're a really skilled Hulk player. Is he a meta tank right now? Absolutely not. Can you get value from him? Absolutely. But in my opinion, he's very similar to Captain America, where he is a dive tank, and we might see the resurgence of some dive tanks. But there's obviously one that kind of stands out above the rest, if I'm being honest with you, and a pairing that I do want to mention to you. But I think Hulk is very similar to Captain America, where he's in B tier. You can get tons of good value from him. That's not to say he's a bad tank in any way. It's just that he's not going to be as popular as he was in previous seasons. And even in the end, in the second half of Season 2, I wasn't really seeing too much of the Hulk myself anyway. Then we have Venom. Now, Venom actually got a buff with this season, and also not to mention he got a really good team up as well. So I actually think Venom, when it comes to dive tanks, is going to be absolutely the best dive tank in the game, and he's absolutely up there in A tier. Now, is he going to be the meta tank? Again, I don't think so. I just don't think dive tanks for Season 3 are going to be like the main playstyle. But in general, I think Venom's going to be a good pick. People will be playing Spider-Man a lot more as well, which we'll get on into. And for that reason, they might want to play Venom to kind of team up together, even though the team up's not there. But he obviously has a good team up with Jeff the Shark, and that is something I do want to mention as well. So like I said, Venom, really solid pick. He also got a slight buff to his slowdown ability as well. Next up, we've got Doctor Strange, and it's unfortunate that Doctor Strange is no longer meta, man. I enjoyed Doctor Strange being a meta hero, but he's still a really solid pick in my opinion, especially with the way the meta's going. It's still going to be mainly poke heavy, if I'm being honest with you, and then other abilities are going to come into it as well, like certain dive heroes, which like I said we'll get on into. But for the most part, I think Doctor Strange is going to be an absolutely A tier pick. I don't think he's going to be the best tank in the game,
if the best tanks do get banned in the higher ranks, then you do want to pick Strange. I just don't think he's as good as some of the other shield tanks that we do have available at the moment. So like I said, Doctor Strange, really decent pick, solid pick, probably high end of A tier if I'm being honest with you. So you could probably put him up here like this in this order. But like I said, Strange is always going to be a relatively solid pick. Then we've got the Thing, and the Thing got a huge buff with the Season 3 update. And when I mean huge, I mean pretty huge buff. And that's the addition of the Battle Blitz ability. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we've made a whole video on it. Please check that out, and it teaches you how to use the ability and the benefits of it. But what that's going to do is make the Thing way more versatile, right? And it's essentially going to turn him into what we had with the Hulk before, but the Thing is just way better at it. And for that reason, he's going to be S tier. He's going to be able to take out flyers. He's got better movement tech than he's ever had. He's going to be able to dive in and out of fights super easily. You can almost play him like a dive tank. And he's just got that haymaker that can deal tons of damage and keep him alive a lot longer. His playstyle is much easier than the Hulk to understand as well. So that's why I think the Thing is going to be an absolutely S tier tank. And all the CC abilities that he has is pretty strong too. So like I said, that's going to stop any dive as well. So he's got multiple benefits. Next up, we've got EMMA FROST. Now, EMMA FROST, again, is a very versatile hero. She did get a ton of nerfs to her overall damage profile, whether it's in diamond form or in her base standard form as well. But regardless of that, she outputs pretty strong damage for a tank, and it's super easy value in terms of her damage. Now, her kit overall lends itself to be very versatile. Like I keep saying, she's a brawl tank, she's a shield tank, and she also outputs semi-decent damage to a far enough range. So that's why I still think Emma is going to be absolutely S tier, right? So even though she got nerfed, I think she's still going to be a pretty solid tank within this meta. She just offers way too much versatility for her to drop any lower than this, and you will need some kind of shield tank in your team, and I think Emma is a slightly better option than Strange at the moment even still. So that's one thing I do want to mention, and EMMA FROST still going to be a really solid pick. Then we have a hero that never got any adjustments whatsoever with the Season 3 update, and that is Groot. Now, what Groot does do is counters pretty much the Phoenix in its entirety, if I'm being honest with you. So Groot is a great counter to the Phoenix, great counter to poke damage, great counter to some dive as well, which we will be seeing back in Season 3. So in my opinion, Groot is an absolutely S tier tank as well. I think Groot is a really solid pick. And that is one thing. I think Groot could potentially be the main meta for Season 3, if I'm being honest with you. But that is yet to be determined, but he's definitely going to be up there in my opinion, especially with all the survivability that he has as well. Penny Parker is up next, and with the Rocket team up, she's really strong, if I'm being honest with you, but she's not super versatile, right? That's the only issue with Penny. She's very defensive, and in her use cases, she's really strong, but for the most part, she's not going to be any stronger than what we have with Captain America or the Hulk, unless you're using the team up. She bumps up slightly. But still, in my opinion, Penny Parker is going to be B tier for the most part. You can still get really good value with this hero. It's just that she's not going to be picked a ton, right? And then lastly, we have who I think, again, similar to Groot and the Thing, is going to be basically some of the best tanks in the game, and that is Magneto. Magneto doesn't really get adjusted all that often, and when he does, he kind of gets slight buffs. And with that slight buffs to his damage and everything that we had previously, I still think he's going to be the main tank for Season 3, and I don't see that changing very much, to be honest. So when it comes to Magneto, absolutely S tier. Next up, we've got the support category, or the strategist category, and first up we have Rocket. Now, Rocket in Season 3, I don't think is going to be nearly as popular or powerful for that matter going into Season 3. I think the amount of damage that's going to be poured down range in Season 3 is going to be crazy, and not to mention there's a hero that does his job slightly better now, and not to mention dive is going to come back a little bit more too, and Rocket kind of struggles to deal with dive now since they nerfed his jetpack. So that's one thing I do want to mention. I do think you can still get extremely good value from Rocket, and I'm kind of struggling to either put him in A or B tier, to be perfectly honest with you. I think personally that Rocket is going to be A tier. He's still going to get selected a ton. It's just that he's not going to be nearly as popular as he was. And I think before he was definitely an S tier hero for a while, but I just don't think he's going to be for season 3. And that's for a couple of different reasons. Like I said, there's going to be a lot more port damage. There's going to be a lot more diving coming back as well into the game. And he's not, like I said, super versatile, right? But versatility is not for strategists, it's mainly for tanks and DPS. Then we've got Ultron, and Ultron is that hero that does provide versatility because he does so much damage, right? And he's also a flying strategist, which is one of the only flying strategists in the entire game. So when it comes to Ultron, even though he did get a nerf, I still think he's actually going to be an A tier as well. And his damage output is crazy good, and they only nerfed his shield wall ability, which I think is an okay nerf to do to this hero, and his movement, which is a bit annoying. But overall, I still think people will still choose Ultron just to set and forget his healing, provide that healing boost, and deal tons of damage like a kind of alternative Iron Man, if you will. So I do think Ultron's going to get selected quite a bit in season 3, and flying heroes are still going to be quite popular. Not probably as popular as season 2 because there's a lot of counters now, but quite popular. Then we've got one of the best strategists in the entire game, especially since she got a massive buff, and to be honest, she was one of the best strategists before the buff anyway, and that is the Invisible Woman. I think she's going to be basically either the best strategist in the game, if not in top 2. And Invisible Woman's output for healing now is crazy good. So basically the outward projection of her primary is going to be dealing more healing and is going to deal less healing on the way back, but regardless of that, it's just more beginner friendly, and she's going to deal a little bit more damage as well. So she's just going to overall be a lot easier to understand and use, and she was always powerful anyway. So Invisible Woman, I think for this season 3, she's absolutely S tier. Cloak and Dagger's up next, and you can always get extremely good baseline value from Cloak and Dagger, right? Even if other supports are banned, the main supports are banned, I think Cloak and Dagger's always going to be a hero that someone can pick up and play. Super easy to use, always gives you exactly what you're looking for, never got adjusted with the update either. So for the most part, I'm putting Cloak and Dagger in B tier. I think they deserve to be there because they output a decent amount of damage now as well with all the buffs that we had last season, and overall I just think super easy hero. Then we've got Loki. Now Loki I struggled to place for this video because he actually keeps getting nerf after nerf, and even though he's a high skill hero, the more they nerf him, the worse he kind of gets because you can get better value from easier to use heroes, right? So that's the only annoying thing, especially since they nerfed his ultimate, and obviously the ultimate for Loki allows you to kind of double up on certain ultimates, or you can kind of counter ultimates, or it offers a lot of value, right? And that versatility that we're looking for. But now they've taken that away by increasing the cost of his ultimate. So I think he's actually A tier now. Regardless of how good you get with Loki, I don't think you're going to get as powerful as someone like Invisible Woman, right? Even though you can get good healing and good value, I just think you're better off using Invisible Woman because she's just way easier to use as well. Then we've probably got what I believe to be possibly the best support in the game, if not, again, like I said, top 2 because Invisible Woman's up there, and that is Luna. Luna Snow is crazy good. She's absolutely S tier. That is no doubt in my mind. She's going to offset tons of poke damage, and she's also got her counter to dive with her freeze bubble. Obviously, like I said, Invisible Woman also has her version of that with a push as well. So overall, these two heroes have that overall, like I said, versatility to deal with dive, to offset tons of damage, and they both have really good ultimates as well. And that in and of itself is enough to make her S tier, not to mention Luna always gets buffs, so she's obviously going to be up there. Then we've got Adam Warlock. Now, with the team up getting nerfed, I don't think that made a massive difference to this hero. I do still think you can get tons of value from Adam, but it's mainly in the way of his revivability with his ultimate and the team up, right? That's where you're getting all of your value with this hero. He does output a decent amount of damage, and you can do well with him, but for the most part, I just think he's in C tier. I don't think he's nearly as good value as Cloak and Dagger right now, and I have seen him drop off quite a bit. and most people only really use him near kind of end game situations, right? So that's the only issue with Adam at the moment. So I just don't think he offers that kind of value as he kind of once did. I think he was slightly higher up, but now with the team up getting nerfed as well, not as much value, right? Then we've got Mantis, and for one time, I'm actually going to place Mantis in a good spot, and that is in B tier, and that's because our healing potential got buffed with the Season 3 update. Now, she's always done tons of damage, she's always provided the damage boost, and I think the damage boost is the one thing that keeps her like at a really high level when it comes to strategists in this game, because not very many strategists can provide damage boost besides Rocket, but that's kind of when he's using his ultimate and things like that. So Mantis is a really solid pick, and now that our healing is percentage based, it means that she can heal the tanks up a lot faster than she could before. The lower HP targets heal up around about the same time, but with that change, she's going to be a little bit better of a strategist. She provides the damage boost like I mentioned, and she provides tons of damage output as well. Again, the versatility aspect is coming back in, and Mantis is going to be probably even higher slightly, but I'm not going to kind of push it too hard. I'm going to say Mantis is B tier. We'll leave it at that. And then lastly, we have another super versatile strategist, and that is Jeff. Now, when it comes to Jeff, I actually think he could be S tier, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's quite that good, but I'm going to put him in A tier for now, and I think Jeff provides tons of value. Super versatile, great against dive, good at dealing with flying heroes with his primary attack now. He's good at dealing with divers with his bubble and with the fact that he can go underground. He's also good at kind of keeping himself alive. He's got a decent amount of survivability, not quite as broken as he was before. But with all these changes to Jeff now, I actually think he's in a really solid spot. Believe it or not, he's actually in a really good spot in my opinion. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of Jeff, and I could easily have put him in S tier, to be honest. But I don't want to kind of jump the gun a little bit too early when it comes to Jeff. Next up, we've got the Duelist section, and if you did not know, the whole meta is kind of based around the Duelists. And if you know how the developers work and how they tweak the game, it's always based around what Duelists they have in the game, and then they build the meta from there. So that's what I do want to mention, and this is obviously the majority hero pool as well, which is a bit strange for a game like this, but regardless, we're going to go through it. We're starting off with Black Panther. Black Panther actually got kind of mini buff with this update, which is good news, which is his hit reg is slightly better. Now, we always say this at the beginning of the season, and then later on in the season his hit reg goes to crap again. So for now, I'm going to put Black Panther in, I could put him in C tier, because he does provide decent value, and dive will be coming back for season 3, by the way. But it all depends on his hit reg, right? So that's just where he sits. If his hit reg's bad, he's going to go to D tier. If his hit reg's good, he can stay in C tier. But for the most part, Black Panther is in C tier for now. For the kind of early access build, I do want to kind of make sure that's very clear. Next up, we've got Black Widow. When it comes to Black Widow, she's actually a pretty solid pick. She's relatively versatile, actually, to be honest with you, with her zip kick, with the fact that you can do close range damage, long range damage, and the thing is, her team up makes her super good with the Punisher right now, and that's what's making her pretty powerful. So if you do have a Punisher on your team, then you're going to do really well with Black Widow. So I actually think she's in B tier. She's definitely versatile more than the next hero we're going to talk about, but she just doesn't have what it takes to be higher up, right? She's going to provide good value if you're good with her and you know how to use her, right? So that's just one thing I do want to mention, but she's not like crazy good. Then we've got Hawkeye, and again, this is very similar to Black Widow. He's much more niche than Black Widow, actually. The team up got nerfed a ton with Luna, which is a bit annoying. But the thing with Hawkeye is that you can definitely solo carry with him. So even though he's not as versatile, he's got a higher solo carry potential. Now, does that put him higher than Black Widow? I don't actually think so. I still think he's a pretty solid hero. You can get really good value, but he's not going to be the kind of main picks for DPS heroes for Season 3. And that kind of goes up next with Iron Fist. Again, Iron Fist is in a really weird spot where he's not super good. You can get decent value from him. He's not one of the best dive heroes in the game unless you know how to use him like really well. And dive is not going to be like the main meta like I keep mentioning, but it will be some dive heroes that are going to do a lot better than others, and Iron Fist is just unfortunately not one of them. Now I'm going to put him in C tier right next to Black Panther because that's where I feel like his value can come from. Black Panther's more fun to play, we all know, but I think Iron Fist and Black Panther have very similar values and you're going to get the same kind of idea from them both. Next up we've got Hela. Now Hela is going to be crazy good in season 3. Tons of damage potential, good escape tools, good just ultimate as well. It will get countered by the new hero's ultimate, which you've probably seen in the trailers, but regardless of that, Hela is always going to be a really solid pick, right? She's just that high skill player that provides tons of value and tons of damage output, so Hela has to be an S tier for season 3 and pretty much is always an S tier every season, so it's kind of almost a no-brainer in some sense. And that's just because, like I said, she involves a lot of precise aiming and she's just a little bit more versatile than heroes like Hawkeye, for example. Then we have Iron Man, and when it comes to Iron Man, I actually think he's the best flying hero in the game. If you do want to use one, even though he got nerfed with his damage, I think Iron Man is still the best pick, right? He's the easiest to use in terms of damage when it comes to splash damage and also his uni beam. He could actually be slightly higher up in my opinion, depending on how the meta plays out, but I don't see flying heroes being like crazy good. And it's between him and, like I said, Ultron are going to be probably the best two. And like I said, Iron Man is always a solid pick and I just don't see him dropping any further than A tier. Then we have Magic, and Magic could actually be a really good pick for season 3, or she could just be pretty bang average, right? And for the most part, Magic has always kind of been bang average and provides value if a player's good with her, right? So I'm going to put her in B tier for now. Magic's always a hero that I struggle to place because I don't really play much of Magic, and then when I do see a Magic play, they're either very average or they're either crazy good, but that's probably because they're really good Magic mains. Next up we've got Moon Knight, and when it comes to Moon Knight, I think he's actually probably the worst hero in the game right now. He does offer an okay amount of value, to be honest. There is definitely instances where he can do well, and maybe combining him with the Phoenix could be a kind of good team up. Not an exact team up, but something that you can pair well together. So right now I'm going to put him in D tier. I just don't think on his own he's really not that good as a DPS. He's really not that versatile as well, and without his unks he just doesn't really pack that kind of punch that we really need from the DPS heroes in this season. Then we've got Namor, and Namor for season 3 got a massive buff. It wasn't on paper a massive buff, but how it feels in game, man, it's absolutely crazy, right? He got a projectile speed buff and a slight buff to his overall damage, which means when it comes to 250 HP heroes, he could pretty much two-shot them for the most part if you're landing headshots. And that makes him absolutely crazy, right? So he's going to be really good at poke damage, and that's not even talking about his team up with his squids. That makes him even better. He's going to be absolutely S tier again. Namor got that right buff that's going to make him right back up in the meta and make him feel crazy good. He's good against flyers, he's good against ground heroes, he's got a escape tool, and he's got his squids, which are basically auto aim as well. Overall, Namor's always going to be a solid pick, but right now I think he's going to be one of the best DPS heroes in the entire game for season 3. Then we've got Psylocke, and when it comes to Psylocke, I think she's really strong if you use her correctly. Obviously that goes without saying anyway, and she is probably the best flanker in the entire game right now, to be honest with you. And for that reason, I kind of want to put her higher up, but right now with the way the meta is and the way I think it's setting, I don't think flanking is going to be super strong, but I do think you can get good value with Psylocke, and that's why I want to put her in B tier. You can always do relatively decent with this hero, and she's always kind of middle of the pack somewhere. She does provide range damage as well, but it's not nearly as good as some of the other heroes in the game. Then we've got Scarlet Witch, and in my opinion, Scarlet Witch is still a pretty decent hero. Once again, you can get really good value from the Scarlet Witch, super easy to use. and nothing much has changed. Her ultimate does kind of pop a little bit quicker now, so you don't need to wait for a super long animation. So all of those things combined make the Scarlet Witch pretty strong. She's still got a really good team up with Doctor Strange as well. I think she deserves to be in B tier. I know we're putting a lot of heroes in B tier, but that's just because you can get value from them still. Next up, we've got what I believe to be the best dive hero in the entire game right now, and that is Spider-Man. Spider-Man Season 3 update just made him super viable again. And obviously he's a high skill player, but for the most part, I think he's A tier. He got buffs to his overall damage for every single one of his attacks. He also got the new team up with the Human Torch, which I don't really know how often you'll see it, but when you do get it, if you can combo it in with your abilities, man, you get tons and tons of damage with this, and you can stack that on top of your web debuff and everything like that. You can pair him with Venom. You can even pair him with the Thing. I think that's going to be the best pairing, is the Thing with Spider-Man as a dive combo. I think that's going to be crazy good for Season 3, by the way. And I just think Spider-Man's going to be a really solid pick. If you haven't tried him already, then this is the Season 2 try him. And I know I'll be trying Spider-Man for the first time, by the way. So if that's not telling you something, then I don't know what I could tell you, because I don't even like Spider-Man like that. And I'm going to try him for this season. Then we've got Squirrel Girl. Now, I think Squirrel Girl for this season is going to be really good, right? How good, I'm not too sure. I do think she's absolutely A tier. The team up is going to make her absolutely crazy as well, by the way, because that kind of aim lock burst acorn is absolutely nuts. No pun intended, by the way. But right now, I think Squirrel Girl's in a super good spot. She's going to be dealing tons of damage. There's going to be a lot of enemies clustered together, and she's one of the best at dealing with that, if you didn't already know. So Squirrel Girl, in my opinion, is going to get picked a lot, maybe in the lower ranks, but in general, man, she's just really good. And for Season 3, I see a lot of Squirrel Girl happening, especially with the new skins coming out, which are pretty cool too. Then we have Star-Lord, and Star-Lord, in my opinion, I kind of struggle to place him right now. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I think it's a bit too soon, and I'd like to see where he kind of stacks up. I'm going to put him in B tier for now. I think he does offer a decent amount of versatility, actually. So he does have range damage, his ultimate's really good, and also he can kind of play semi-dive, and he can fly as well. So it really just depends on how good you are with him, maybe. But I'd like to see a bit more of Star-Lord before I make my mind up on this one. So I'm going to put him in B tier for now. I do think he offers a lot more value than the heroes that are below him, so I don't see any reason to put him any higher up or any lower down. Then we have Storm, and Storm, in my opinion, again, very similarly to these heroes in the middle of the pack, she offers good value, right? She offers good amounts of damage output. She's a flying hero, and the main reason you want to use Storm is for the damage buff. And for that reason alone is what's keeping her in B tier for me personally, right? I don't think she deserves to be any higher than this. If Iron Man is only an A tier, then Storm has to be a tier below. That's my opinion. And the same goes for the Human Torch as well. He got tons of nerfs, and he does provide that value of blocking off certain areas of the map, and you can do well with him if you mained him a lot and you know all the kind of patterns you can make on the ground. But for the most part, you're not going to be getting tons of damage value from the Human Torch, nowhere near as much as what you can get with Iron Man. So again, B tier, good value, but not anything crazy for Season 3. Then we have Punisher. Now, Punisher got a nerf to his turret, which I don't think really nerfed him all too much. He did get a slight nerf to his ultimate as well, which is a bit annoying. So that could drop him back a little bit. I think Punisher was a lot higher up for Season 2. And for Season 3, I don't really see him being any higher than maybe A tier. But I want to again put him in B tier right now, because he does offer really good value. He offers tons of poke damage. He is decent at close quarters, but he doesn't really have a lot of escape tools besides the zip line. And when you've used the zip line, it kind of lets you down from time to time because you're kind of caught mid-air and you can still die. So that's the only issue with the Punisher. If he had a better escape tool, then I think Punisher could be slightly higher up. Then we've got Winter Soldier, who's absolutely S tier, man. I don't really want to talk too much about this, but Winter Soldier basically embodies what is meant by versatility. He's a tank buster. He could deal range damage. He could deal close range damage. He's got melee attacks. He's basically got it all. And with other heroes getting adjusted a lot, I think Winter Soldier is basically right back up where you're supposed to be. And if you haven't kind of noticed, this kind of meta that we're looking at right now is very similar to what we had in season 1. So we're kind of getting back to that season 1 meta in general, with the kind of poke heavy meta, but you can still use dive and flyers at the same time. Then we've got Wolverine, and with his team up with the Phoenix is absolutely crazy, man. He's absolutely S tier. He's one of the best tank busters in the entire game, if not the best. And with that new ability, he just makes him absolutely crazy, and he can health steal, so it keeps him alive a lot longer. So it gives him an extra survivability tool as well as extra damage, and that's just going to make him really good, right? He is a niche hero, and probably one of the only niche heroes that have made it into A tier, to be honest. The next hero we have is Mr. Fantastic, and Mr. Fantastic is absolutely B tier in my opinion. Again, he embodies versatility. He could be as a tank, he could be as a DPS, he's good at taking out flying heroes, he's good at kind of stopping dive to some extent as well with his grapples. So overall, Mr. Fantastic is a good choice. I don't think he's crazy good, but I think you can still get really good value from him. He offers a little bit more value than the heroes that are below him in my opinion. And he's a super easy pick as well if you just want an easy hero to use. Not the most fun hero to use, I will say that, but he does offer a decent amount of value. And then last but not least, we've got Phoenix, who's the new hero in the game. And as we always expect, the new hero is always S tier. She offers tons of value. She's very versatile, by the way. She's good at doing ranged attacks. You could play her at close range. Her melee is crazy good. She's got good escape tools. The amount of damage she outputs is really good if you land all 3 attacks. And again, she's very similar to Winter Soldier and Namor in the way that she just outputs loads of versatility and damage.
So there we have it. That's our list. Let us know down in the comments if you change any one of these or what you think of the list in general. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.